Thank you, panel. All right, now we realized there is a flaw here. We have two EU boys casting EU versus CIS, which is why we did bring in the CIS version of PyCat, and I will cover EU fanboyism while he shows us why NAVI is stronger with their draft.
I think NAVI have a really strong draft. For hero, for general.
Is it just the general though? I know, you know, CIS, they love their Shadow Fiend. When you saw the Shadow Fiend, did you instantly just bet your house on CIS?
I think, I mean, SF is just the pinnacle of...
It is. It's like every other region moves on, right? And I always feel like in the middle of times whenever we don't see Shadow Fiend, they're usually the first on its rise. And it's not because necessarily like NAVI or CIS in general are ahead of the game. It's because they never leave this hero behind. It's just they're waiting. They're already warmed up when it becomes meta again.
You know, it's like part of this. Back in the, you know, back 10, 50 years ago, back when there was this house leagues, always the Russians played poorly in a game, they would just ask you to play 1v1 SF. Just always been there.
But it was only SF. They wouldn't beat in the parkour Queen of Pain duels. They were like, no, we don't practice that.
Just SF, you know.
See, and then you got like these new gen kids that are like 1v1 Pangolier. Speaking of Pangolier, I think right now Liquid is probably the only team I'm seeing run the POS 5 Pango. And is it because of like a team style that it works? Because usually most people refer to Pangolier 5 as pretty greedy.
Probably it has something to do with that they're one of the few teams. Pango 5 is like a very weak 5 in terms, but when you get backed up with this hero, kind of get away with it. You can get some team fight through this, but obviously
no. And also another thing you can't do well, which other POS 5 possibles are good at, is stacking, right? Like we've all been there where we're trying to help by stacking as a Pangolier and you accidentally disarm the camp and then they don't move at all. And that's kind of an interesting thing as well, because I say Liquid is one of those teams that does prioritize stacking a lot.
Yeah, and it's interesting. They opted to go Lifestealer in the bottom lane. Kind of a nice idea for them. The Lifestealer doesn't generally like playing against Slardar anyways. The high armor on Slardar and all this bash. Can't really fight it. Blame the big, kind of, you don't really care. Bear and we're gonna sustain it. The Void Spirit should be doing quite okay top. Armor is decent.
Yeah, there was some debate from the panel about like Void Spirit. I think Lacoste on it, like the problem that he sees whenever you run POS free Void Spirit is like if you miss your timing as full, you are a really irrelevant hero. Do you think like this was the right call, that if they had put this in the mid, there wouldn't be enough scaling damage on a Void Spirit versus an SF, for example?
I'm not really sure. I just think that I know the general really a lot matches and pubs and everything. Really enjoys playing this. Sometimes you can just comfort things.
Yeah, and it is a pub here against what is just becoming like the most controversial combo in the offlane right now, the Io Slardar.
Yeah,
escape in the end.
You have some sustaining as this. You can nuke some range creeps.
Yeah, and while he will suffer a little bit, the thing with this hero is you can sort of survive off levels. Once you have 6, you might see him kind of rotate. Maybe you're just the type of hero that can punish something like the Michaela Rat, because that's another thing that's highlighted. You know, there was an opinion that teams are sleeping on this hero right now. We've seen a few games. Usually it looks good whenever it has a save, right? Like you need some sort of hero that's able to bolster it up.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the IO and also kind of just the bulkiness of the Lone Druid and the Slardar, right? Heroes that just go in. I mean, the entire Liquid lineup is basically just, we're just going in. On mid lane, Mickey is
getting low.
Not enough mana.
Get away with low.
There.
No. And always want to fly, takes a bit of a pummeling on his way out as a result. He needs to actually be a little bit careful because he's falling off. The stun will connect, but he needs to be careful as Iceberg's still nearby.
Yeah, and he also kind of just
Roger.
took all of his mana.
Oh, one more tap. They get it. First blood. Insania rotates, and they exploit the fact that bashes are strong from Soda's overcharge. Easy little pick off. So far, this early phase feels like Liquid are kind of getting away with it. I mean, one thing I didn't ask you yet. We have a rule, right? Whenever we see Liquid, the greedier it gets, the better they look. Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how greedy do you rate this draft?
I mean, the fact that they have the Lone Druid, right? That kind of makes it so that it's not incredibly greedy. So just maybe a 6. Around a 6.
So you're giving them like maybe you're giving them like a 50% chance to win, going by the way they draw. Because usually, probably, like, you know, they're off at like a level 7 or an 8 in terms of where they are in terms of greed.
Yeah, no, it's not incredibly greedy. I mean, the Pango 5, you know,
is right. Yeah, that's
Pango 5.
Well, it's just to say, like, on both sides, it feels like the kind of neither team feels like something is insanely greedy here, right? Like, you can kind of see both teams having similar timing to this game.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Yeah, I mean, both teams have like they don't really rely on any cooldowns fighting. Maybe the Pango roll, potentially the SF ult or Disruptor ult, but they're kind of, you know, more skirmishy types. But you know, it's not gonna be, the fights are not gonna be centered around. It's gonna be centered around probably a lot like Slaughter jumping in, getting the blink at hero, Void Spirit being able to initiate someone. You know, it's kind of what it's gonna probably come down to.
Does it feel like in a lot of ways it's going to be a race to see who can kill the mid? Oh, Roger? Oh, Roger, no. I think he was out. I mean, I guess he thought obey them because Shadow Fiend was coming with the haste, maybe, but I don't know. I think Iceberg probably could have still hit that kill. Mikit's going to scare him away. Nice. Insania dodges out. I mean, Iceberg had to be careful there because if he stays next to Pangolier and gets disarmed, it gets whoopsie daisy very quick.
And you can see that the Iceberg is kind of quite far ahead of this Leshrac. Leshrac only sitting at 17. Iceberg at 500. This is, I mean, while Leshrac may be underrated, at least to my knowledge, quite nice for SF if the first few levels don't go poorly for him. Has a pretty good time. Just the amount of damage you get. The race damage is kind of nice for them.
Yeah, it feels like Lishrac's not really a hero that punishes 1-2 either, right? Because it's a hero that also suffers from low base damage, so you can't easily deny out the Shadow Fiend, and you should get those early souls, even though obviously you usually take the raise nowadays anyway.
Yeah, and you can see now it's the top lane, he's quite already. He ported up here. He doesn't really enjoy sitting against this Lifestealer, right? Just his bear just keeps getting hit, and he doesn't really feel like he has a purpose in the game. Only this kind of, I mean, he's bullying the offlaner, right? And he can eventually start hitting your tower, but bottom tower, the Lifestealer tower hasn't even gotten hit yet. Lifestealer is pulling ahead in net worth and level. qojqva is feeling a little bit like out of place.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Feels kind of worrying as well, right? Because usually Lone Druid, the thing you can brag about this hero, gets levels easy, gets his first 1 or 2 items, and then it kind of snowballs with these power pushes. Whereas Lifestealer is also this type of carry that with 1 item and a few levels, you can start to get involved and brawl with the enemy team.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, I mean, the NAVI lineup has some very strong fighting capabilities. You know, this minute 15 or around 15 to 20 minute mark when all these spells have their levels, able to be very active.
Part that we haven't seen yet is what Iceberg's likely to commit to here, whether it's going to be the Magic Fiend or the Physical Fiend. This type of game, I want to say I'm leaning a little bit physical, maybe.
Yeah, I'm also kind of thinking physical. Just relying solely on the Lifestealer to deal damage can be a little bit. It can work. It can also be it can feel a little bit funky.
Radiant,
you know, BKBs on some of these heroes and just. Also, I think against the Pango, I think it feels kind of nice to have some extra physical damage, just being able to hit this.
Is under attack.
Roly-poly.
Yeah, and you're the only one who can as well, is the other thing. And it's like when you look at these heroes, it's Leshrac, right? He's always going to be able to juke you out if you are relying on Lifestealer or melee hero. And then yeah, like you mentioned, the Lone Druid rule, Slardar with sprint. It's like, this is not necessarily an easy game for V2 to stay on top of something.
The Iceberg has some pretty decks here that NAVI are gonna pull a bit ahead of both SF and Lifestealer hitting with top line.
He's gonna die. Insania will go down for it, but Mike is being dragged under the tower. General needs to back up quickly though. He has no points to dissimulate, so he has to stand and fight. The tower won't help him quick enough, and it won't even get the kill afterwards. So Mike comes out ahead there.
I'm very surprised that Roger did not TP that.
Dire's middle tower
Port was
is under
cool on. I
attack.
mean, stacking something, but I feel like I think a level 9 left
Tower
track.
is under attack.
Yeah, it's the dream of a Rubik's core, right? It's like, oh, I can just yoink that with a Fable. Mike was like 100 HP. That was the definition of yoinking.
Yeah, and while the cores 1 and 2 of NAVI are very happy, you can or they're trying to lead some off these stacks. There's gonna be a 2 so quite soon, but are kind of lagging behind a little bit.
Dire's top tower
Dana is
under
already level
attack.
6. Got the javelin. Yeah, Io also
Radiant's bottom tower is under
got
attack.
some items on him. And
Yeah, the point is, while Na'Vi probably, you could argue their supports have kind of stronger ultimates potentially, it's the fact that they're too starved to get there, and we're going to see this almost come into play from Insania. Brawl will be a little bit off the mark, but the Duke's force from Roger will mean that he runs into the Wayne arms of the cause. And now moving in with Requiem to turn around the Boxy, they're going to cut through and bring Insania low. No, to finish him off, they get the big one on Boxy, and we'll still get Pangolier afterwards with the right click to the disrupt.
yeah, Iceberg doing kind of the classic, waiting in this little line, drop an ult, fear.
That's kind of the
nice.
Oh, go ahead.
It was a nice little sidestep there by Roger. He kind of bought them some extra time. Like he duped the Pango roll, and he kind of like ran around, you know, did a little circle there, and bought some extra time, which kind of netted them these two.
Yeah, it's more like Insane's there. We have you surrounded, and Rogers just stands there going, oh, okay, then I'll stand here and I'll cry for reinforcements. It's also the awkward issue whenever you initiate primarily with the Pangolier, right? Like, this is usually why I feel like Pango serves better as either a follow-up initiation or a very select engagement area of the map where, like, you've got really tight choke points that you can't juke him out in.
Yeah, I mean, initiating, of course, Pango, it can be a little bit sketchy, unless you have a couple of items on you. I mean, some of these heroes don't really care. I mean, the Void Spirit, Lifestealer, they don't really care about this. Talofin is also
scanning.
see that worried, but you can see that Boxy, he's stopped this first like blink dagger.
Radiant are scanning.
This is pretty much what they need to be able to play this game. They're gonna get this timing with the blink dagger, the Lone Druid madness is probably gonna have, I'm not sure, Basher, Deso, whatever it is. But they're gonna hit this. Pretty nice timing. Make it now.
I'm imagining it's probably going to be Deso in this game, right? It just opens up Roche with the Corrosive Haze, also amplifies your tower push, so you're not just relying on Mike. We'll see if he switches it up.
I'm not really much of a... It's not 100%, no.
I'm getting old. Charged to track more than one hero now.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Oh?
Can't keep up, you know.
It's hard, man. There's this pressure, right? Like, you know, who wants to play Meepo? Who wants to learn Meepo, okay? Because everyone's watching and everyone's judging if you make a mistake. Rubik, mistakes have been made there as he gets caught out the rotation. He will be heading back. I mean, they could leave Mike here to push on the top. I don't know if you want to stay in this area of the map. They'll head top again. They're pinging out General. They did force him back, but he's got Astral Steps. They've waited too long here. He's a wise whisperer. He knows that something is wrong here.
Yeah, I mean, they have this war. Yeah, he's just kind of playing it. The trees there.
Now they're going to shift towards bot. Maybe try and actually take this tier 1 tower. Because so far, they haven't put a dent in Liquid's buildings. But quite in the meantime, they put a dent in the mid. This should make what they're doing obvious as well. They've just let a Lone Druid run up to their tower and pummel the crap out of it. And you can...
and he won't not have to deal with the damage. And Iceberg is in on his BKB pretty quickly here. I mean, he chose to just go for the treads into Dragonlance with not qojqva, not the double Wraith banner, and kind of rushing the side.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Place where you can actually fight as possible.
I usually like this on SF when you have enough lockdown, right?
Top, Roger.
Oh, zooming in. Prove it caught out of position. Trying to defend his tower. Will be brought down. They'll get the trade on the tier 1 bot in the meantime, though. I think to go back to that point, it's whenever you rush the BKB on SF, it's like one of those big power spikes, but you do need lockdown, right? If you don't have the means to hold these elusive heroes in place, then you don't get what is usually giant power spikes with a hero like SF.
Yeah, but they do have some lockdown. Although Roger is having quite the awful start to this game. 7.
Middle tower is under attack.
So their play is going to be somewhat limited, but at the same time they do have this speed Lifestealer. He's quite farmed. He's also got this illusion. Top lane they have, although he's also quite forced. NAVI are quite heavily invested.
Now calm down, Podcast, because you said Roger's having a bad game, but you got to look at it from another angle, okay? It's all about swings and roundabouts here. He is only level 7, but he has died 5 times, okay? This man has somehow managed to find a decent amount of XP for a guy who spent most of the game dead.
I mean, that's also why he's dying too, right? He goes to kind of the places on the map where no one... Foxy there with... I mean, he's just taking up the places where no one else wants to be there, so he's...
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting as well because you have this Void Spirit. You'd expect him to be kind of enveloped in those areas, but it almost feels like the reload potential on the Leshrac is making General's game very hard to play in a more cocky fashion.
Yeah, and you can see suffering that. Now, the Deso now on the Lone Druid. Could be very nice for getting an Aegis on. That's right.
Makes most sense, especially with the boosted travel. You can run it pretty quick without mules. I think the best thing that NAVI can get out of this, I'm not sure if you can test, maybe just try and take the tier 1, but
I don't even think they're aware.
Middle tower
It all happened kind of so fast. They get this fight.
He might miss it. Speaking of links, Boxy jumps in, beats in, trying to move away. Will be able to do so. The rest of the team weren't able to follow up as quickly as the Fishman in the river. They'll count their lucky stripes. They didn't take any casualties after that because, I mean, they were balled up pretty hard in that choke point. As you said, they were not expecting that at all, but they will now smoke. If this works, I mean, Leshrac, you give the Aegis to him for a reason. He melts quick, and if he's away from his team like this, and you get rid of the Aegis this quick, there's going to be a little smile on your face.
Should be kind of...
No, oh, they find him. Kinetic field, but they'll be able to glimpse him back past it. They have got the lift, and they'll use it now if the Yule's been thrown out. Iceberg needs to just throw out a raise, and that's 1 life gone. Charge up the Requiem. 2-2, we're ready to go again. Reinforce coming in. Boxy with a nice stun. Covers Mike, a nice reload to get him out of the way. On the side, though, qojqva. He activated the ultimate. He wants to go in. Sania, charge up the Royal Thunder, blink through. That's the back line. Stun's going to come and disrupt that. He has to use the stack to dummy. He can't throw it down. He's dead. They're going to chase forward. They do see Iceberg as well. One route would secure a death here, forcing out the BKB. Going to charge up the Requiem to scare them away. B2 turns around the bear as well. It is disarmed. They're trying to actually heal it up. Tiger trying to save the bear and get it out in one piece, but it's done. 300 gold going the way of NAVI, but with the BKB running out, the pings come out. It's best to try and get Shadow Fiend away, but Root's going to be there. Remnant to buy a little bit of time. B2 knows they have to fight now. qojqva. Bear is found through real quick. Iceberg down to half HP, trying to retreat from it. Nice stun though. Foxy secures the kill. They'll chase forward looking for more. CP out by the Void Spirit will be successful, but B2 about gets the rage out. However, they are fast on the side of Liquid, and they are hungry. And this bear is looking to munch you up. Always want to fly, cannot save him. They're going to lose 2 cores and a support, and they use that big BKB for all of nothing.
Yeah, and that kind of, a lot of this I think happened. Iceberg, he didn't want to use his speed to kill his Leshrac, and he didn't realize how close they were. He gets blink stunned, and Lone just goes in, he munches up the Disruptor in a matter of a couple seconds, and Iceberg is forced to use the just to survive this Pangolier Bro, and the Lone Druid attacking him. Fear away the bear. And after that, they just didn't really have enough damage with the not really able to help out that much, and the chopper already dead.
Oh, always want to fly. At least got the casters on. I'm sure it's the one he was looking for. And he'll say buy on the way away from Iceberg. And I mean, this is kind of the worrying thing, right? Like when you actually compare these two drafts, that top fight was a perfect example of how this reactionary draft Liquid have with the Slardar, the Irelia kits, can exploit the weaknesses of Navi supports. So I feel like with the Requiem, with the kind of like the Glimpse, there's plenty of time for Liquid to always respond to Navi's initial or follow-up engagement.
I think the issue for Navi is that they're having a little bit of a tough time finding initiations. I think this could potentially help though. They have now the Etherlands and also the pace on the Rubik. I think coming fights potentially we could proper engagements where you can start the fights with the kind of further away. You also have now the pace to amplify the damage of both the Lifestealer and the Shadow Fiend. And the General has now gotten the Yule Spirit, so he's going to be able to play a little bit more aggressive. At the same time though, Mickey's getting very close now to both the strength and armor talents on the Leshrac. He is getting quite the disco point.
A little bit spooky. I mean, when you see Insania playing this cocky up in their face, like a glimpse of back to punish it now. They'll be able to do so. The heal attempt by Tiger's not good enough. Insania gets caught on the low ground by the final right click of the hunt. This is kind of sad. Okay, now General has finally got his level 2 Astral's dead. That was feeling sad to watch him try and mobilize. He does get the cut. It's not enough though.
A tithe to the impurities.
And they haven't got the creep wave either, so they don't even feel confident. They've come in this area and they're not able to even get an objective out of it.
Dire are scanning.
Already boarding in Steve bounty rooms. They're not losing. There's even this. They're probably gonna get this kind of high ground there. Even though they lose a hero, they don't really lose.
No, it's kind of the rough part. Is like right now, because Navi, you kind of feel the behind in what their heroes need. They are having to play a little bit more group, right? So any kill that Navi find is kind of like, okay, we need more. We instantly need more. There needs to be at least 2 kills here. He's going to die here. Stun onto the back line. Rubik brought low, but nope. Foxy dodges out the Static Storm. A little bit of a whoopsie days. First phase does get stolen again. Roll through from Insania. Lockdown goes forward onto Rubik to try and bring him down. The stun does control Iceberg and allows Insania to move away. Needs to be careful. The Glimpse is going to drag him back towards his death, though. He is gone. So far, Insania, usually the one kind of causing his own deaths with how far forward he's playing.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Yeah, and you can see again on the Rubik.
Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
The right clicks from Iceberg and are very strong now. I think the one thing for Navi so far is they really haven't found a... While the Lifestealer was very useful for their early laning stage, it kind of helped shut down the Lone Druid early on. Found kind of any proper purpose after that. qojqva is going for this. He's got the Deso, AC, Madness, also Dragon Scales. He's gonna have to lead Tanky Bear. Lifestealer's gonna have some issues actually dealing there.
Yeah, he's trying to build to the item that will help him that. They are going for the Deso, which is a lot of minus armor, right? You've got the Presence of the Dark Lord, you've got the Corrosive Haze that keep getting stolen, and then you have the Deso. So even that AC should be offset by the right-click damage in Navi. It's just those extra seconds it takes you to bring down the bear is kind of allowing the rest of Liquid to dance around the fight.
Yeah, and I'm just a little bit curious what's actually the right approach. Potentially you could have gone Halberd and just gone in. I mean, now what he's doing, he doesn't really want to tank, right? He doesn't want to be tank.
Radiant are scanning.
Go something like a Halberd or more damage, and you take some of these fights, but see if it's gonna.
And it just means that Iceberg's an easier prioritization in these fights, because you look and you go, okay, V-Tune's not actually dishing damage. If we get rid of SF, that's like 50% of the damage off the table.
No, for sure, the Shadow Fiend is vast majority. Daedalus or Iceberg is hitting some pretty good damage. He is definitely going to be the target of focus.
Yeah, Mike's going to bulk up more because he's going towards the Bloodstone next. And he's already a reasonably bulky boy being up at level 17, 2k HP. It's not an easy quick burst target anymore with the BKB there.
I think when Navi supports and kind of their general lineup all so poor except for the Shadow Fiend, gonna be very scary for the once Liquid get Slaughter. Gonna have 2 BKB.
Boxy has been lifted. They just need to get out there, and they know it. Jump in, stun's going to come out. They charge up the Requiem though. Punishments will be had. Boxy trying to move away, but not going to be quick enough. He'll try and sustain. Tiger's going to be dragged away though from the link. Boxy will try and run it off. Just about gets away. Iceberg has the BKB to fight against BK though. They can steal a stun, but qojqva's Bear dead. Just try and root and force them away. They need to be careful. There comes the roll in from Insania. Good stun control. No BKB anymore for Iceberg, so he needs to be careful. He's being locked down. They haven't got a second line of follow-up right now. Boxy can't reinitiate, too low on HP. They'll just have to back away. That's going to be there under the Bear, though, and that's going to be the price. 300 gold going in the pocket, the Iceberg Shadow Fiend again.
Yeah, well, after that fight pattern, pretty much the only thing that actually happened was the one Bear dying.
Animal cruelty. That's what happened, okay? Everyone turned their head, and a poor, innocent bear died for everyone else's sins.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like a very nice initiation from kind of NAVI there, the Requiem, but Fog didn't really have enough damage with the heal from the IO.
And, you know, that time Insania, he didn't die for his Rolling Thunder in, but that was more what you want to see. The problem is, because they initiated on Boxy that time, you don't have that follow-up after you start stunning these targets, which it kind of feels like if you're Liquid, you preferably want to have qojqva or Mike initiate on, and then you can, like, counter-attack.
I think you want to be just able to just charge in. Like, you want the Slaughter and the Pango to kind of roll in at the same time as the Lone Druid is running in with Bear, and the Leshrac is just running in too. So it's just like this lineup that kind of, it's like a train, right? They just come at you and they just roll over you. That's kind of how you want to play these fights for Liquid. Ideally, you can just crush them. You have a lot of damage, a lot of single target damage, and a lot of damage on the Leshrac too. Get some of these supports, or you manage to catch the SF.BKB. You can kill these heroes in absolutely no time.
What you just kind of said was, let's turn shared unit control on and let Insania just drag us all in at once.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, he seems to be the one just going in, so why not? No, but at the same time, you have to, of course, be... I mean, everyone has to be present for these, right? They have to be in the vicinity, they have to be close to actually deal damage when you...
Yeah, and I like the NAVI. While yes, they are suffering net worth-wise because of continuing to play that balled-up style. Because the problem in this game that they have is with the Leshrac boost of travel, with the IO, the Lone Druid, like, your lane's going to be pushed in, and any attempt to, like, quickly gank as 2 is going to be responded by 3 from Liquid.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the IO factor. They need to sort of split the map, but at the same time, they're also a Slaughter and the IO, so it is very scary to split. That's why, I mean, heroes, they're suffering. Like, ideally in a game like this, I think you would want to have a Void Spirit that's way higher in terms of net worth, so you can feel comfortable running around, shoving these lanes, and becoming more of a core. Because this game, NAVI now, they pretty much have 3 supports. Look at the net worth of the Void Spirit, much down there with the IO and the Pango, and their own supports are even more broke. Much just the Shadow Fiend and the Lifestealer.
I mean, well, even then, I'd say it's like 3 supports, a tank, and a DPS right now.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like V2 is trying to build these right-click items, but every time you look, you're like, eh. I mean, how you can't really stay on top of these targets. You are just genuinely the frontline tank.
No, for sure, he is. I mean, he has now the Orb of Corruption. It's definitely gonna help out a bit.
You know the beautiful thing about Dota is though, Pycat? You know, we can have 3 supports. There's games out there that only allow maximum 2 supports. Okay, we could have 4 supports and 1 carrier.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that should be every game.
Of course you do. Just the sound of money trickling in your mind right now. Medusa 6 slot when everyone's got 1 item.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
So,
the Naga days of old, those were the best. Good old Radiance,
I'm sure, like, I'm sure, like, the other 80% of the players playing these games totally thought that was a great meta. They love that. I totally love having like 2k net worth when your Naga had 20.
I think 100% of the players in the game.
Oh my god, they bring low. Nice effect to try and save, but it's too late. The Machine gun bashes come out. They bring him down, turn around, try and eradicate Foxy. Will get him in the end, but Mike, he melts through Roger on the back line. The buyback comes out. They found more. V2 gets melted through as well. General is high on the run. He's running out of resources to escape with no actual steps left. It's just a matter of time before the Void Spirit becomes a spirit in the afterlife.
Dire's middle tower.
I mean, this is kind of the type of initiation that you would want to see. They just go in, they catch the SF without the PKB. The Lifestealer, he tries to help out, but I think he was a little bit slow on the best. I think he has a basic dispel, so I think the amplify damage there. Maybe that could have helped him out. I'm not even sure, but you know, they don't have any lads or medallion or anything, so armor on the Shadow Fiend is quite limited, especially against this Basher AC Mask of Madness Deso on the Lone Druid, coupled with damage, so he does go down incredibly quick. And V2 not use the break this amplify damage. Yeah, I mean,
oh, I was just gonna say, it's also, you look at General, it's like, what is he doing in that fight? Like, how can he turn anything around? Like, usually we look at Yules and we say, that's the best item in the world for Void Spirit. But you can't use it well defensively in this game. It sets up 2 stuns. Aggressively, I don't think we've really seen one, like, big aggressive play. I wonder if, like, yeah, what he's doing now, Solar Crest or Lotus or something like that, just rushed, might have served a bigger purpose here. As you said, he's playing the support role.
yeah, I think potentially. I mean, he wants the Yule's survivability.
That should help.
Getting something like that could have helped out, but it's also, you know, speaking from the scenario which we witnessed, you know, it very simple for us to do that now, but I think the issue is he's just so incredibly starved for net worth.
We'll just have, okay, let's just take your approach where, you know, you're the only one that matters. Everyone else is just like, they're basically walking boards. Iceberg says scatter in 4 directions. Everyone just give me eyes on Liquid. All right, I am the true one carry. He's the only one who really feels like he's ever dishing damage in these fights. I don't know if that's going to change. I mean, V2, even when he gets this AC, it just feels like the best thing he can contribute to these fights is a well-timed invest.
Yeah, I kind of think the issue for him doesn't really have, you know, he doesn't have a slaughter on his team. That's kind of the issue for him. Right? He needs some sort of somebody to go in. I mean, I think that potentially what he could have just done is just commit to this more kind of standard approach to the Lifestealer without this Manta style, and just for something more straight up damage, and just infest this Void Spirit earlier on. Just go into these fights, you know, initiate onto this Leshrac before he had the BKB. Big beefy boy with Bloodstone, now also with the
Radiant.
I think they kind of just they didn't really utilize how strong the Lifestealer was, and how kind of awkward the Lone Druid felt this early game. Ended up suffering quite a bit.
Do you think that maybe in their mind they were considering like a magic damage Shadow Fiend when they drafted this? So then you would have had like the Blink initiation Yules and then bomb out from the Infest. But because of the change in the early game, that did come to fruition.
I don't really think so. I think tension, I meant to go for this because it feels a little bit awkward having like this Lifestealer as your soul, or you know, it's hard to dish out that much physical damage again when you're playing against a hero like Slaughter and Lone Druid.
There's a fight going on. Roll in on the V2. Stun follow-up is good. They got glimpse one away, but the damage might already be done. It's gone. V2's down. BKB charged up. Iceberg activates his own, but the Bastards are going to come through. Foxy's staying on top of him. And with the corrosive haze, there's no way you can fight back. It's going to be brought down. Disruptor's going to die as well. Roger is going to be chased onto also on the back line. Looks like 4 are going to be dead. General's the only one left alive. And once again, Navi unable to take a fight.
Yeah, I mean, and that should pretty much... That should be...
You want to say that'll be game. They're not ready to tap out yet. General, he's like, you have to kill me first. Challenge accepted, says Liquid. The base is going to get delayed really fast now.
The base is going to be...
They're pinging front.
Gonzo.
This is Liquid nowadays. Yep, GG comes out. I mean, this is the thing we kind of have come to acknowledge them for and compliment them, is they don't mess around anymore. The moment they see that you expose your throat, they'll cut it.
Yeah, and